Neck and shoulders. So for alleviating neck pain, does anybody currently have constant neck pain? It's just something that kind of comes and goes. Constant? Yeah. Okay, good to know. All right, so because there's teachers in the room, one thing to consider is if someone's in like really bad neck pain, you just leave their neck alone like completely, right? So you'd start with their feet or their ankles, which we'll start with. And I know you guys, it's not to the point where you can't move your neck, and it's not like a, a chronic thing, so we can go deeper than that, but we'll just start there just as an idea. So what I'm thinking is we'll do not legs up the wall, but legs at a 90-degree angle. And actually, let's get 2 blocks. So we'll have 2 blocks, a stick, and then feet on the wall, feet and hips distance apart. So just finding a spot where it's easy for you to put your feet on the wall. At the medium width between their feet. And then the next block is going to be between your thighs. You're going to have your feet at the wall holding the block, and 1 block between your thighs. Not really close to the knees, but really close to the pubic bone. Once you have your feet at the wall, if you can't keep a 90-degree angle and the neutral pelvis, then you're going to move away from the wall a little bit. So giving yourself a little bit more space if you need that space.
Against the wall like that?
Yeah, exactly. And so this block's nice and low. This block's medium width between the feet. So 1 block is medium width between the feet. 1 block is narrow width between the thighs. And bring your feet up just a little bit. We want to have our shins at a 90-degree angle with the floor. We want to have our thighs with a 90-degree angle with the floor. So we've got all these angles going on. Feet are a little bit lower. Shins at a 90. I'm having those sticks handy. If you don't have a stick, let me know. I can grab it for you. And you're the most narrow one here. And then really low. So not between the knees, but really as low as you can. There you go. Perfect. And then we're going to start with just really pressing the feet into the wall. And I want you to think about the inner thighs dropping the block, the outer thighs squeezing the block. So it tends to happen on some people. We're going to go lower if we can. Yeah, there you go, right there. So what tends to happen is the outer thighs squeeze the block, but the inner thighs don't drop the block, and then the knees become more narrow than the ankles. Yeah. And so if you can, pop this one in right about there. Perfect. Good. You got it. So inner thighs dropping the block, outer thighs squeezing the block. Inner heels dropping the block, outer heels squeezing the block. Nice. And then let's just go back and forth with the pelvis. So we're going to take the pubic bone towards the wall, pubic bone away from the wall. So pubic bone towards the wall, pubic bone away from the wall. So just moving back and forth. So a lot of neck problems stem from postural things. And so we can start by learning what a neutral pelvis is, learning to lengthen our spine away, and learning how to get our ears over our shoulders as opposed to our ears, over our chest. It can eliminate a lot of the problems. And you don't have to use it. Yeah. You can deal with that. It's fine.
Keep using.
Yeah, it's all good. It's, do what you can. Next thing you know, you're doing what you never thought you could. And then stopping with a nice neutral pelvis, pubic bone, hip bones level. And this is a good place just to push into the elbows and lengthen the back ribs away from the pelvis. Good. And then the second motion is bringing your hip bone to the floor, away from the floor. So think about moving your femurs. Right femur comes down, left femur comes down. Right femur comes down, left femur comes down. Right hip drops, left hip drops. So just moving back and forth. And then trying to control your feet at the same time that you're controlling those femurs. Trying to keep that natural lumbar curve. Shoulders and neck still relaxed.
I find holding the foot block exhausts my lower leg.
It's a lot of work on those muscles.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just that I'm doing it wrong.
No, it's just that how often do you really use your foot muscles? And then the muscles of the lower leg are what support the knees, ankles, and hips a lot of the time, right? And they go, our feet start to collapse as we age. It's just making you use the muscles. But if it's too much, you can ditch it, right?
It just won't stay.
And then stopping with a nice neutral pelvis, pubic bone, hip bones level. And then looking for the third motion, which is hip bone to armpit, hip bone away from armpit. Hip bone to armpit, hip bone away from armpit. So you sit your right butt into a chair, you sit your left butt into a chair. You think front thigh to back thigh, butt into a chair, and you just go back and forth. And this time we're about trying to avoid the hips going to the floor, away from the floor. I'm going to lower it so that the shins are at 90. So bring your feet down. Other hold the lock, and bring your feet down. That's your shins are Is anybody having trouble with that one? Or any of them? Good. Even if you just start by moving the pelvis, that's a great place to start. And then stopping with that nice neutral pelvis, and let's just start to work a little bit with our feet. So we're going to inhale just the toes up. We're going to exhale the toes to the wall. So I'm going to lift these feet up so the shins are at 90 and on the hips distance. Good. Toes up, toes down, toes up, toes down. All right, so we want to straighten you out a little bit, so we're going to move your whole torso a little bit to the right. I'll move this with you. Let's lift our head just a little bit. There you go, that's better. And then toes up, and keep the toes up. Take your stick into your hands. So we want to straighten you out. So this would be straight. So you need to move your whole torso over. Yeah. And if you can get to a 90-degree angle with the legs, you see how this is a 120. If you could keep a neutral pelvis and bring your butt closer, then you would get more out of it. But if that's not possible, then you stay where you are.
Closer to the wall?
Yeah, so this would be hip, yeah, closer and closer. If you can keep neutral pelvis. So you're looking for a 90-degree angle with your legs. So you see how this is not straight up and down. Eventually you want that to be straight up and down. Yeah, if you can. All right, stick in the palms of the hands. Imagine that your fingers also have imaginary sticks. So we're going nice and wide. Good. Look at your elbows and think about gently pulling those elbows apart so the elbows don't make a bump between the wrist and the armpit. Good. And then start with just some shoulder push-ups here. Keeping the shape of the arm, we just inhale to take the stick to the ceiling. We exhale to take the stick to the floor. So we're moving the humerus bone in and out of the shoulder socket. And this one, we're going to do the palms. Good. And then visualize you've got sticks under every single one of those fingers. And think about squeezing an imaginary stick with the tips of your fingers. Good. And then just observing, if you take the stick as far away from you as you can, it's really hard to shake your head for no. If you pull the stick all the way in, it's really hard to shake your head for no. So you want to find that place where you're taking the stick away from you. There's no valley between your shoulder blades, but it's very easy for you to shake your head for no. Good. And then stop in the center. And then just notice if you're pushing more to one side or the other, and try and have your nose in the center of the stick. And then we're going to exhale to bring the stick towards the thighs. We're going to inhale to take the stick towards the floor. Observing the elbows and not allowing little mini bend. Toes are still lifted if that's at all possible. Big toes are not higher than the baby toes. So our big toes are usually quite a bit stronger and more flexible. So we've got to make sure that they're not trying to get way higher than the other toes. Really noticing if you start to imprint the low back. So here, Sam, do you feel like the pubic bone is higher? And it's the opposite way. So you see how you're imprinting the back. So I want you to take the yeah. There, that's a neutral pelvis. Now notice the difference there without letting the pelvis change. That's better. So then it really accesses your shoulders, right? But no pain, and anytime you want to rest, rest. So this particular series is for joint stability. Okay. And then just take that stick to wherever you can and just hang out. Stick between the palms of the hands. It's easy to shake the head for no. Smooth, even breaths.
Can it be resting on the back?
It can, but ideally it's not. Yeah. And then think about palms squeezing the stick, elbows pulling apart. Think about an imaginary stick where your hip flexors are and take that towards your butt. Think about a stick at the backs of the knees and pull that towards your kneecaps. Remember, you can rest anytime you want to rest. Let's just go 5 more breaths here. Next time you come up, you're not quite straight. Just a tiny bit off. And then when those 5 breaths are complete, drop your toes. Nice inhale to bring the stick back up and over. Place the stick beside you. If you can continue to keep your toes up, great. If you're not used to that, then give your toes a little bit of a break. You can ditch the block whenever you want to. And then you're going to inhale to bring your heels straight up. Exhale to bring your heels straight down. If you can keep the block, great. If not, just ditch the block. So now we're doing heels up, heels down. Think inner heels dropping the block, outer heels squeezing the block, trying to maintain that nice neutral pelvis. So toe mounds are going to stay at the wall. Yeah. And then you're going to move your heels to and from the wall. Yeah, good. And the next time you lift the heels up, keep the heels up. Keep the neutral pelvis. This time let's take the stick into the palm of the hand, outer wrist, outer elbow, outer shoulder in a nice straight line. Palms are facing towards the wall, so hands are shoulders distance apart. Thumbs are on the same side of the stick as the index finger. We're going to push very firmly into the base of the thumb and the index. We're just going to go a little more narrow, so that's your outer shoulder. Good. And that's your outer shoulder. Nice. And then from here again, let's do the push-ups. Take your fist towards the sky as high as you can, taking the humerus bone out of the shoulder socket. Bring the arm bones back in. Arm bones out of the shoulders, arm bones into the shoulders. Up and down, learning how to move that humerus bone. And then take those arm bones to 10 out of 10. See if you can shake your head for no. Notice that when you're stretching those arm bones as far to the shoulder sockets as you can, it creates tension in our neck. And then take the arm bones all the way back into the shoulder sockets. Just see what it's like to shake your head there. And then find neutral. So take those arm bones away from you so you find extension. No valley between the shoulder blades, but you can easily shake your head for no. There's still room there. Then exhale to take the stick towards the thighs. Inhale to take the stick towards the floor without the elbows or the arms changing. up and down. Keep zipping your belly. Keep trying to maintain a nice neutral pelvis. So Sam, if you can, you lift your chin just a little bit. Nice, and then you're going to take your pubic bone towards the wall, opposite way. Yeah, there you go. Sometimes I think stick in the hip flexors, moving that way, and that helps too. Let's do 2 more, and then we're going to take the arms down towards the floor and just hang out. Just pausing there, squeezing the stick with the hands, getting rid of any wrinkles in the backs of the wrists. Great place to notice if you're symmetrical, trying to find that symmetry if you don't have it. Remember, you can always back off. Let's just go 5 more breaths here. Then when those 5 breaths are complete, exhale to drop your ribs. Nice inhale to bring the stick back up and over. Place the stick beside you. Remove your blocks, place them beside you. Let the soles of the feet come onto the floor. See if the soles of the feet can clap. And then see if you can take your toes to the wall. So your toes are being folded back to you as much as possible, but you're keeping the toe mounds together. So you're in Baddha Konasana, you bring your feet to the wall, the toes are at the wall so that the toes are being stretched away from one another. You've got a nice neutral pelvis. Push into your elbows and just lengthen the back rib cage away from the pelvis, and then gently lift your head and lengthen your head away from the shoulders. Good. Then let's find a nice 3-part yoga breath. So belly fills, ribs fill, chest empties, ribs empty, belly empty. Keeping in mind that at any point it's too much of a hip stretch, you can just use your blocks to wedge your thighs to give yourself a little bit of a lesser stretch. All right, so you've got your pelvis, push into your elbows, lengthen your back ribs. Yeah, and then bring this part down. Yeah, and then finish that part. There you go. You feel how these are dropping, eh? Yeah, they're really starting to shift. And then from here, you're going to relax your shoulders, and then, excuse my coffee breath. I have a lot of humans to look after this morning.
Our baby toe mounds are supposed to be touching?
They will one day. Yeah. Not necessarily today. It's like, you know, when you do it at the floor, and like my baby toes, you know, it's pretty similar. My baby toes don't touch, whereas here there's this little ledge, so my big toes kind of have more room, and I can sometimes get my baby toes, but
Yeah, as soon as I bring my baby toes together, my hamstring hurts.
yeah. Interesting, hey? With baby toes. So nice big waves of breath up and down the spine. Just letting the body relax. Anytime we're relaxing the shoulders, it's always palms facing up. And you feel the difference as soon as I did that, hey? All of a sudden the shoulder heads just relax. And sometimes it's nice to think about someone doing handstands on the shoulder heads. Nice. And so, do you feel how you're getting a wrinkle just a little bit? Yeah, bingo. So if you closed your eyes and opened your eyes, you'd be looking straight up at the ceiling. Whereas if the chin's tucked, if you closed your eyes and opened your eyes, you're looking more around the wall. Does that kind of make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you want to notice that when you're driving, sitting, texting, all of those things, because what you're describing is that tension. Mm-hmm. Just those little tiny habits can really help. All right, let's bring our fingers to our shoulders. We're going to hold onto our shoulders like they were, you know, some type of melon that we were trying to check to see if it was squishy. So So you're gonna hold onto those shoulders, gently squeezing. If you can't reach, that's fine. And then we're gonna start with forward circles. Trying to keep the neutral pelvis, trying to keep the neutral spine, and we're gonna draw circles going forward. If you can get the elbows to touch, great. See how long the elbows can touch for, and really use your peripheral vision to watch those elbows, that they're moving equal speed, equal distance. And then change direction with the circles, big, slow circles. And stopping with the elbow circles, elbows at a shoulder's height, gently squeezing the shoulders. Exhale to bring those elbows to touch. Inhale to take those elbows apart. Exhale, elbows touch. Inhale, elbows part. Again, just very gently squeezing those shoulders. And then elbows come to the floor. Exhale the elbows to the side ribs. Inhale to take the elbows up. Exhale, elbows to the side ribs. Inhale, elbows up. You can come out of the cobbler pose anytime you like, listening to your hips. You can move into snowplow at any time. Knees together, feet apart. And then letting those arms come down beside you, palms facing up. Think about melting the shoulder heads to the floor as you move the skin of the armpits up towards the sky. Close your eyes. Big, big breaths right into those shoulders. And then draw your knees together. Once again, you're going to take one block between your thighs, as close to the pubic bone as is comfortable for you. Keeping a neutral pelvis, you're going to put the feet on the wall and be creating a 90-degree angle with your legs. Pubic bone, hip bones are level. Push into your elbows and lift the back rib cage away from the pelvis. Just like that. Have your stick handy. Feet are at hips distance apart, so you can put two of your fists between your feet. And we want the thighs straight up and down so that your ankle is directly over your hip. So if you can keep a neutral pelvis, you're going to move your butt closer to the wall. Yeah. Closer, closer, closer. Even closer. And then you're going to work that neutral pelvis. And then everybody check that you're straight. Lift your head. Is your pubic bone in line with your belly button, in line with your nose? Good. And you want your shins to be at a 90 or more. So if you could put a stick on your shins and roll them, they're really low. So bring them up. Up to my stick, all the way up to my stick. And then check that your toes are level. Check that your knees are level. Inner thighs dropping the block, outer thighs squeezing the block. So that's wide for you because you're smaller than me. So all right, so from here, going to go toes up, heels up, soles up, which means heels stay at the wall. Toes up, heels up, soles up. Toes up, and then the heels come up, keeping the toes up, and then the heels go back to the wall, and then the entire sole of the foot lifts. Yeah, toes up, heels up, soles up. So you keep going like that. Toes up, heels up, soles up. So you say this is your hip, this is your knee, and your foot should be in line with that. Nope, in. Yeah. So hips distance is your two fists. My fists are bigger than your fists, right? So mine shouldn't fit. It's also hip, center of knee, center of foot. Hip, center of knee, center of foot. Toes up, heels up, soles up. One more time. And then bring your feet to the wall and lift just the toes up. And then noticing if your feet have gone wider. So your feet have gone wider. So hips distance, two fists between your feet, also center of the foot, center of the knee, center of the hip, in alignment. Great. Take the stick into your hands. We're going to lift your feet just a little bit. Here we go. I'm a stick thief. Don't trust me with the sticks. All right, palms are going to face over the crown of your head. Arms are shoulders distance apart, so outer wrist, outer elbow, outer shoulder in a straight line. You're going to bend your elbows to a 90-degree angle. Elbows are right over those shoulders. So your elbow is a shoulders distance apart, and your wrist is a shoulders distance apart. So if I came with my stick, I'd be able to put my stick on your outer elbow, and then I'd bring it forward, and it would be on your outer wrist. So you need to bring your outer wrist to my stick. Yeah, there you go. Nice, and then we find a 90-degree angle. Ideally, we want the thumbs on the same side of the stick as the index, if we can. If we can't, we can't. And then we really push into the base of the thumb and the index, and then we look for symmetry. Yeah, so that the wrists are level, elbows are shoulders distance apart, elbows are lifting away from the floor, extension, no tension. There you go. And it's rock solid, so you want it level. Good. And then we'll do a couple shoulder push-ups here. So we've got our 90-degree angle, and then we're just going to move that humerus bone in and out of the shoulder socket. Wrists are as high as elbows. Elbows are as wide as shoulders. Yeah. Wrists are as wide as elbows. So even a little wider, it's got to touch my stick. Yeah. So that's in alignment. Wrists a little wider. Yeah. 90-degree angle. Good. Lifting to the sky, away from the sky. So moving that humerus bone up and down. So elbows should be as over the shoulders and as wide as my stick. Good. Wrist should be as wide as my stick. Nice. So that's a shoulders distance. Yeah. So it's a lot wider than you think. Makes a lot of space for the neck. And then go to extension with tension. Take those forearms as far away from you as you can, and notice how that's gross on the neck to move your neck. And then sink the arms all the way to the floor. Notice how that feels. Wider. Yeah, it makes it so much easier and so much more stability when it extends. And then bring them all the way down to the floor. We've done that. Yeah, so then we find that perfect extension, no tension, and we hang out. And then we're going to keep the elbows from moving in and out. So we're going to think about the inner elbows dropping something, outer elbows squeezing something, and then we're going to inhale to slowly straighten without the elbows ideally coming closer to one another, and we're going to exhale to slowly bend without the elbows coming apart. So eventually we're straightening and bending, but our elbows are staying the same. And honestly, sometimes it's good to not straighten and bend as much, but to keep the elbows from moving, because we're looking for stability more so than mobility. So bend, take your elbows to me, yeah. So see how they're coming in. So what am I asking you to do? I'm saying don't go to where they come in. Does that make sense? So what you have to think about, because we really need to stabilize those elbows. We need to think about a block here, and we're dropping it. Or you could think about a strap here and you're pulling at it, either way. And I could put a strap there, but you've got your imagination and that works good. And you can see it. Yeah. Good. And it might be a smaller movement, but now you're isolating the muscle, right? As opposed to just doing what we always do. Same recipe, no different cookie. Makes sense? All right, bend your elbows to a 90-degree angle, hang out. Make sure you can shake your head for no. Exhale to bring the elbows to the ribs. Inhale to bring the fists to the floor. Exhale to bring the elbows to the ribs, and inhale to take the fists to the floor. So again, like I said, if someone had like extremely bad neck pain or a serious injury, then we wouldn't even do the shoulders. We would just do this without the shoulders, and we would just work the feet, and we do some wrist work, which we're going to do momentarily. Because no one in here is, wearing a neck brace or anything like that, we can go a little bit deeper. But noticing that the whole time the neck is totally supported, so we want to keep this 90, so you're pushing into me. Push. Push into me. Push into, yeah. So push, 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 push. Now keep all that action so it's not loose and you're going really refined. Can you find a neutral neck for me, Sam? Yeah. Next time the fists come towards the floor, see if you can hang out. Bring the fists as close to the floor as you can, but watch those elbows. So we are not straight on our mat, which tells me we're not straightening our hips first, and then straighten your torso from there. So if I've got the stick straight, which was your spine bone move? Yeah, to Robin. A lot. No, here's your pubic bone. This is interesting. Yeah, so to the left. Yeah, totally. So what happens is you
My hips have been bothering me. So it's tired my
yeah. It's just one side's working really harder, so it keeps moving you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so with headstands, we just want to fix that so that we're not always working the same thing.
So
That's straight. Yeah, no, it's not. Okay. And then from here, we're going to keep the block between our thighs. Our thigh's not going to move. We're going to take that right foot just a little bit away from the wall, keeping it flexed and with the toes lifted. So the exact same foot doesn't change. And then you're going to exhale to bring the heel as close to the butt as you can. You're going to inhale to take the leg up without the thigh moving. So if you're twisting the block, that thigh is moving. So you float the right foot off the wall just a little bit. If you need to come up off that left heel, you can to create the space. And then you drop the heel to the butt, you straighten the leg up without the thigh moving. Noticing that exact point where the thigh moves away from you, don't let it. So we don't want the thigh to move forward or back. Our priority here is that the thigh does not move forward or back. Watch those triple chins. June, can you find your ribs here? So pushing the back of the skull and putting back. Good. Fine, not moving. Just the shin is moving up and down. If it's too much, you can always bring your elbows back around. If anybody feel like they're not finding this? Let's lift this heel just to give yourself that space. This is pretty. Yeah. And now straighten out your neck so it's even between your arms. Yeah. And then straighten that leg to hold it straight as you can without one thigh moving forward or one thigh moving back. If you still have your neutral pelvis, are you still lengthening your back ribs? Do you still have a neutral neck? And then we're going to point and flex that right foot. You need to rest the shoulders at any point. You rest those shoulders. Yeah. I told you I took a picture of your foot and I showed one teacher and she's like, you gotta go to New York. She's like, I don't know.
Actually,
I'll find it in June.
the kinesiologist said that it's activating the outside of the leg too much.
They're just so different. Like one foot always dominates the
Yeah.
other, which makes sense because you're super strong, you know, on that right side in particular. I'm just curious as to other things, you know what I mean? Yeah. And they've come so far.
Yeah.
They really have. It's just that getting out of this angle and the sole of the foot is tricky. Yeah. We'll keep working it too. I've got some tricks up my sleeves. And then point the toe and draw big, slow circles one way. So again, anyone had anything major going on, we wouldn't start with a block, right? We would just do it without a block, and we wouldn't be using a stick. We would just have our arms beside us, and it would be enough. So you're avoiding here. No, your foot. Rotate your foot. Yeah. So see how far you're rotating here. Try and match it on the way. Yeah. You're avoiding where you're tight. Does that make sense? You see what I'm looking at? And that's okay. Yeah. So keep the knee. So the knee still points over the ground. Change direction with the circles. And watch your foot. We all have a spot we're not going to. A lot of us are going to like, I guess it would be 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock, but not 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. We're avoiding that baby toe edge ankle stretch. So see what you can do. Big circles. Trying to get it to go as much to the right as it does to the left. Rest whenever you want to rest. Try not to move the hips if you can help it. And then stopping with the circles. Flex, curl, point, and flip. Flex, curl, point, and flip. One more round. Flex, curl, point, and flip. Keep your toes flipped, flex your foot, and just hold. And you can bend that knee as much as you need to. Does anybody find this easy? Okay, good. Yay! And then bend your knee, bring that foot to the wall. It's really humbling, right? But it's the basics that will heal you, in my opinion. All right, so when you're ready, again, checking in with those elbows. Do I have my arms bent? So you want to bend the elbows a little more to a 90-degree angle. Are my elbows the same width as my shoulders? Do I have any wrinkles in my wrists, or do I need to take a break? So you want to go much wider. And then the left leg's going to come away from the wall. Just a tiny little bit. You're going to hover that foot. If you need to lift up the right heel to make space, go for it. And then you're going to bend and straighten that left knee, only the shin moving, thigh not moving. The distance is perfect. I'm just going to straighten it out. So if I was going to give you any homework, it would be this stuff. Right? The foot and the shoulder, getting them to work at the same time. I'm just really working these foot exercises. There. And those arms should be strong, where if I came by and tried to change them, I couldn't. But now I can. Keep it in that shape. Nice. And then straighten to hold. Adjust as high as you can. Are your toenails level? And just notice what that does to the line of the leg. And then try to keep those toenails level. Point and flex, point and flex. Watch that you're watching with your eyes and not your neck. The neck is neutral the whole time. And then point your toe and draw big, slow circles one direction. So what we're working is the superficial back line, right? And it runs from our toes all the way up the back body, across the back of the skull, and injects into the eyes. And so that's one of the main go-tos, especially with postural stuff if we've got neck pain. Make sure we're going to the pinky toe edge as much as the big toe edge if we can, and we're going to change directions. And this whole series is just designed to get it sliding, basically. And so it frees up. We have a strip sort of mid-back, like from just under our armpit, just under our armpit, sort of halfway up the back, where almost all of the fascial lines cross. And if those fascial lines aren't sliding, we get a lot of pull in that area. And if things aren't sliding in that area, we get a lot of pull into the neck and shoulders. And then stopping with the circles, let's flex, let's curl, let's point, and let's flip. So we're going to flex, sole of the foot is flat, trying to get the toes level with the toe mounds if you can. You're then going to curl the toes around the toe mounds as if those toes were holding onto a pencil. We're going to point the foot like a dancer. We're going to flip just the toes back to us and try and spread them. Flex, curl, point, and flip. Watch those thighs. I see some of those thighs going to the wall, Lisa. Flex, curl, point, and flip. And then flex to hold. Good. Watch that our knees aren't turning out to the side, but both knees are still pointing straight over the crown of the head. Remember, you can rest whenever you need to rest. You can do less anytime you need to do less. And then bend that knee, bring that foot to the wall. Really think about dropping your ribs. Nice inhale to bring the elbows back up and over. Place your stick beside you, remove your blocks. And this time let's go into snowplow. So the knees are going to touch. And we're going to heel toe our feet nice and wide. It's nice to check that the knees are level. Toes are optional here. If you want to have your toe mounds on the floor, the toes up the wall to get a little more stretch. That is an option, but you don't have to. If it feels like too much, then likely it's too much. Once you find that neutral pelvis, really lengthen your spine. So we tend to lie a bit like this with our ribs popping. So we think neutral pelvis, we push into our elbows, we lengthen the back rib cage away from the low back, drawing the floating ribs to one another and down, and then generally that creates enough space for the head to lengthen away from the neck and the shoulders. Relax the shoulders. From here, we're going to bring those arms to a 90-degree angle. We're going to make fists with the thumbs on the inside. We're going to bring the elbows up to a shoulder's height, and we're going to see if we can bring the backs of the arms down towards the floor. Watching for any wrinkles in the backs of the wrists, try to get rid of those wrinkles. And if your arms are floating, that's just fine. You could always put something underneath them if they felt like it was too much. If your shoulders were like, it's enough. Or you could bring your elbows a little bit lower would be the last resort. Good. Now see if you can get your pinky wrist as close to the floor as your thumb wrist on both arms. Okay, so you feel the wrists. So this is the wrist you want. You want to try and avoid this wrist. This is a wrinkly wrist, right? That's a motorcycle wrist. This is the wrist. Yeah, there you go. And if you need support to hold that, we can put blocks underneath your forearms. So you've got the nice wrist, now just bring them as close to the floor as you can without losing that wrinkle-free wrist. I'm going to put something under your head for this one. And can you bring the elbows to the floor? No, it's okay. I'm going to come over. Let's take a look. Just this guy. And if the shoulders are too much, then we can always do less. Just let me know. Good.
Not on the side.
No, it's okay. Let me just see, and we want baby toe edge straight. Good. And we want the knees touching if we can. So here's your hips. We're going to move your whole torso this way. There we go. Perfect. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. And then I'm going to slide this in here. So keep your elbows down. Just root the backs of the arms into that. There you go. Just a little bit of support. Thanks. And then with that. How does that feel? That feels okay? Good. Now really strong arms. If I came around and tried to move your forearms, I couldn't. So your outer wrists are karate chopping out, your inner wrists are karate chopping in. And then visualize a PVC pipe around your humerus bone, your upper arm bone, so that you can't move your upper arm bone to the floor, away from the floor, or to the sky, away from the sky. So those arm bones aren't moving in any direction, but they're just going to rotate. And you're going to inhale to take your fists as high as your elbows. You're going to exhale to take your fists towards the floor. So just rotating the humerus bone, and then noticing, because you had perfect alignment before, if you can keep that 90 degree. So a lot of us, our wrists start to go really wide. So that's your foot. Right? So when I think that you got to find this for pinches. So push in a knee, and then try and keep that. Don't let the wrist go in or out. Keeping a neutral pelvis. If you can, your wrists go in. So you want to push out and then bring it down. But keep pushing out. So see how they're coming in? You got to push quite hard to get them there. Yeah. So sometimes it helps to visualize elastic bands around those forearms, pulling at those imaginary elastic bands. So a lot of us, we let the elbows creep up. We want to keep the elbows as low as the shoulders. So pause. You see how your elbows have creeped up. Do you see that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you get a PVC pipe and nailing in here. Now rotate.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then to the floor. Yeah.
Mm.
And then bring the fists as close to the floor as we can and just hang out. Try and get the pinky wrist and the thumb wrist equal distance from the floor as we hang out. Just breathe into it. Big, big breaths up and down the spine. Special focus on breathing into the neck and the shoulders. And then we're going to do one last superficial backline slide. So you're going to bring your arms lower. You're going to bring your feet back onto the wall. And we're going to do number 4 pose with our feet at the wall. So our knees and our feet are hips distance apart. We're going to draw the right leg to us. We're going to externally rotate the right leg. And we're going to hook the right ankle on the outside of the left knee, pressing through the feet. Now often we twist the hips here. So take your stick. Place your stick at your hip flexors. Is your stick level with the wall, and is your stick level with the floor? If you can't keep your pelvis comfortably on the ground, then you move away from the wall. So if you can't keep a neutral pelvis where the pubic bone hip bones are level, then we move away from the wall. And then we get rid of all the wrinkles in the foot. So as we transition from the wall to the knee with that right foot, you want to keep the same activity in both feet. Once you've checked your hips, I want you to check your spine. Put your stick in line line with your pubic bone and see if it comes straight towards your nose. So often we skew one way or, yeah, you see it a little bit? Yeah, there you go. So even the shoulders, we're going to move this way. And then lengthen your spine away from the neutral pelvis. Try and get your back ribs closer to the floor. Yeah. There we go. I think both of these guys you had it in the last one. It's trickier in this one. Good. Press into both feet. Get rid of all the wrinkles in your heels. If this does not feel like enough of a hip stretch for you, then you can lift up that left heel. So you have options. If you know that this is easy for you, you want to work a little bit harder, then you could do the pinch arms that we just did with the palms down towards the floor, or if you wanted to work even harder, you could do palms up towards the sky. If you know that this work is more challenging, then have your arms straight, hands as shoulders distance apart. So arms straight, hands as shoulders distance apart would be more mellow. Pinch arms would be more intense. If pinch arms are hard, palms down. So palms down for you. Yeah, thumbs with the index. Good. And then do a couple shoulder push-ups. So arm options are straight or bent or palms up.
No, pinch arms this way.
Yeah, perfect. Thumbs on the same side, hands to shoulders distance. Do a couple shoulder push-ups. So bend your elbows with pinch arms. Yeah, there we go. And we gotta get this foot up a little bit. Yeah, so that shin's straight, much nicer on the knee. And you want to really watch that no wrinkles creep in. Good. And then once you find extension, no tension, is your stick level? Are your elbows level? Are your shoulders level? Or is it rolling one way or the other? So you see how that's not level? Good. So with you, if it's not level, what you usually have to do is go to 10 out of 10, reach as high as you can. Feel what that feels like. It's going to feel different on one shoulder than the other, and then gently let it sink in just a little bit, but keep the action the same. Good. And let's see if you can do thumbs on the same side, because that's where we're seeing a tiny bit of weakness in that. There you go. Perfect. And then get rid of your wrinkles on your chin. Good. Exhale to bring your stick or your elbows towards your thighs. Inhale to take the hands towards the floor. Watching those elbows. So not letting those elbows go wide. Really being honest with yourself. Keeping the symmetry. No matter what we do, we should always be able to shake our head for no at any point. There should be no tension in our neck. So pubic bone. You can see that. Here. Yeah, so we try not to move the hips when we move it, so all of your hips. There you go. And so then you're just going to have to move everything a little bit towards Sam. And then take your fist towards the floor and hang out. Nope, that's perfect. So now lift up. Let's get your head with it though. Yeah, there you go. So now look up. You see how that is? And so you see if you took your stick, pubic bone, navel, nose. You see that? Got to really check that a lot. Just until you're nailing it. And then we're just hanging out, watching our elbows, trying to find that symmetry, resting whenever we need to rest. Does anybody feel it the most across their bra line, like across that mid-upper back? Anybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm cramping, I think.
Yeah. So then if you're cramping, what do? You do less. You don't want to cramp your back. So you need to do less. Does that make sense?
That doesn't make
So then ditch the stick for a while.
I think it's what we've been doing. It's not what I'm doing now.
So heels. And then how many people feel it the most in the hip?
Me.
Yeah.
Michelle, should there be a curve in the lower spine?
Yes, neutral pelvis. Let's see if we can bend these guys. There we go. And then when you're ready, if you lifted your heel, drop your heel. Nice inhale to bring the stick back up and over. Place the stick beside you. Really mindful of the knee. Draw your knee towards your navel to uncross and just open up the back of the knee. And then bend your knee and bring the foot back to the wall. And then just visualize what it was like to have those blocks there. Find your feet. Knees and feet are at hips distance apart. Toes are lifting. Question mark of the foot is rooting. And then see if you can take it into number 4 pose on this side. So again, remembering the knee is a hinge, making sure you're pivoting at the hip. We want to keep the sacrum down in a neutral pelvis. We may need to move away from the wall. There should be no wrinkles in your right or left ankle. Nice, and if you can, so you see, can we bring this ankle over here? If you can, nice. And then we'll put that stick in level as you can. And it's a lot of information for someone who's new to it. You're doing great. As long as you're sticking to your numbers, not pushing too hard, you're doing really, really well. All right, so then find that same stick, whatever it was. Make sure you're straight, make sure your hips are level, make sure your spine's straight, and then mimicking the arms. Good. Do some push-ups here. Make sure your elbows are as wide as those shoulders. And then once you find your extension, no tension. Then exhale to bring the stick towards, the floor. Inhale, take the stick towards the floor. Exhale, elbows to ribs. So now here, come back and just hold it. Yeah, it's just learning your you'll memorize it. The first time you learned environmental science, you didn't have it all memorized, right? You have to study it. The nice thing about yoga is you can feel it. Watch these. So this is what I call motorcycle wrist. And especially people that work on computers, right? I'll be mindful of that. Do 2 more and then bring it as close to the floor as is comfortable for you. Remember, there's always that option to lift the right heel. If you lifted the left heel, you should do the hips the same, ideally, unless it's way too much. Jean, can you get rid of your wrinkles in your ankle? Yeah. So push the right foot into the wall, really find it, and then see if you can find just as much energy and action into the left foot. Almost straight, almost. Yeah, so just a little bit. You just go this way.
Yeah. When I measured before I did the.
So my guess is this shoulder works harder, which you can see right here even than it does. It's stronger to your right, right? It's your left hand, pushing that way.
I never could have to do this. My right hand, I always have so much fun. I didn't do it in school.
Yes. In like school? Yeah. Yeah. I know what I want to do with you. We'll do it, yeah, we'll do it today. When you move you this way, that would make sense too, because it just twists you.
Something just for me, yeah.
Those kettlebells and then like your arm gets in this. Got it? Let's just go 5 more breaths here. So again, like I said, if someone had neck pain, I would just have started with just their feet. And some wrist work, but not even wrist work up in the air. It would be wrist work with their arms on the floor, either bent or straight. So often when someone comes and they're like, a little bit is obviously okay to work with, but something serious, you don't want to go poking your finger into it. You want to work with what's you know, at either end of it. And then when you're ready, we're gonna do a nice inhale to bring those arms back up and over. Pausing there in your number 4 pose. Take your right heel to the wall if you haven't already done so. Left knee comes in towards the belly. You can even hold the outer left knee to keep it a hinge to uncross. Open up the back of that knee. And then bend both knees. Try and keep your knees together, feet together. See if you can interlace your fingers over the shins and just rock from side to side. Relax your shoulders, relax your neck. And then let that turn into circles. And just loosening up the low back. That was a lot of neutral pelvis, especially if you're not used to it. If you're not used to neutral pelvis, a hot Epsom salts bath tonight will be very helpful because those are muscles we don't use often. Swap the interlacing of your fingers, change direction with your circles. And then again, rocking from side to side. And then stop rocking from side to side and reach around for a wrist or an elbow or a forearm, whatever you can get. Make sure the shoulders are relaxed. Push through your feet as we come into full wind maneuver. And let's just do some nice big belly breaths. Inhale, belly rising. Exhale, belly falling. All right. So it's nice because they're side to side. You girls stay exactly as you are. Don't change a thing. And everybody roll off to their right and let's just come check this out. So just stay where you are. Stay where you are. So I want you to come close. So again, these are like super details, but like, you know, for teaching, it's nice to see them. So on these bodies, does anyone see if they're holding tension in any particular place? No. Neck, both of them. Oh, yeah. Not bad, but you can see it. Do you know how I can see it on her? Is right here. Right? And it's not bad. She can go a lot deeper. So if I was Laura, I would just come and I'd inject her arm bones and then lengthen the back of the neck. You see that difference in her throat? It's really subtle, but doesn't that feel better? Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to tell her to inject her humerus bone, just like we learned to do, like she's doing a shoulder push-up, and I'm going to let her go. And not only has she got a better neck, right, she's got a way better hip stretch, right? Would you say you have a way better hip stretch?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, better. And so then if I really wanted to work Laura because I can, I would be like, take your hip flexors towards your butt, take the backs of the knees towards the kneecaps, and then one more time inject, because she'll lose it, yeah. And then shake your head for no. And it's just nicer on her neck, right? And she was a chef for a lot of years, and she's worked really hard, so it's nice to make sure that's her stuff, especially as she moves into headstand. So then you can take a break, and then here, we see it not only in her throat, but you can also see it a little bit here, right? And then the other thing, what would you notice straight off the bat about her that you'd want to work on right away?
Maybe moving her shoulders back.
So shoulders we've looked at, but then we usually start with the feet, right? because it's hard to build a foundation. So if her feet aren't level and her knees aren't level, what do you think is going on with her hips? They're not level, right? So it's like just a telltale. I can see from across the room that your hips aren't level because your knees aren't level, or you know, your femur is not level or whatever, right? Which is, you know, you think I'm reading lines, but I'm not. So you can see the thighs aren't level. So what I'm going to get her to do is think front thigh to back thigh. Yeah, and I want you to inject this femur just a little bit. Nice. So now her feet are level, her knees are level, her hips are level, and she's not avoiding the left hip, which is tight, correct? You get more of a left hip stretch. So what do you think I should do with her arms?
Strap.
More space. Strap, we'll try back of the thighs first. So take your hands here. Yeah, and we'll just see if it works. So better already, and big time I'm going to teach her how to inject because she doesn't know how. And I'm not even going to worry about the torso being different lengths because it's too much info, right? But what we don't want is her to go home and feel her neck. So just a tiny little bit of, wow, what a difference, hey? You feel that? And then she can lift her armpit chest, then go back to your legs. Yeah, so you're going to think front thigh to back thigh. You're going to inject this femur. Nice. And so if she was open, which I know she is, like in some classes, you don't want to give someone a strap because they feel like they're not doing it as well, but I know you're open to a strap. So I'll give you a strap, which is even better. And then you can use your arms, but even relax this arm. Nice. And then find your feet, find your calves. So you're getting a better stretch and you're not messing with your neck. Does that make sense? And then she would memorize what this neck feels like because she's got really active arms. So she can ride her bike like that, she can drive her car like that, but she wants to have that relaxed neck when she does it. And then just shake your head for no. So that's what I'm looking for. You feel that it's an effortless no? So when I say shake your head for no, it should be really light, right? So it's not, like there's a big difference with that than, correct? Zero tension, and we've memorized tension. Tension is what our body knows and holds on to, and it's just so used to it that to go away from that can be tricky. So let's all try that pose again, and let's just look for those things, okay? So look for our feet first, and then go all the way up from our feet doing our checklist, and then see if you can find the most relaxed neck, even if it means using a stick behind your legs or a strap or whatever you need, okay? So we'll just redo that same pose, getting rid of any tension in the neck.
Where do you start?
Oh, they're just to the left and on the shelf. Yeah.
Are we starting over?
Nope, just go into it. Nope, just go right into your,
Where we were?
yeah, just exactly, full expression. Yeah.
Where am I?
That's nice, and I feel that egg good. And that will have a huge effect on your wrist over time too, right? Not overworking it all the time. Yeah, we'll look at your hands today too. And the thing about a yoga class or a yoga workshop is if we just take one little piece of information out of it, and then we spend the next week or two adding that to our regular classes, practice, whatever, the way we walk, the way we drive our car, then we have that piece forever, right? Whereas if we try to learn 600 things, we're not going to learn anything. Just learn one thing at a time.
Do you want us to not record this one?
Do whatever you do, and we'll see. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, these are good.
Yeah, and the feet are good. And then you could go, if you want to go for it, you can, but just see what it does.
I noticed that in like we doing tests and how to handle different
Yeah. So a nice thing to do is you see me do child's pose at the wall. Yeah. And then with you, because you would put a block here to make sure your butt's even. Because with you, the twist is happening here. That's good. Nice. And then inject these arm bones just by the femur. There, right there, you feel it?
No, what's the neck version?
Yeah, totally. And you just learn to move those bones, right? And this is a goodie for you. So I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to think about those arm push-ups and just say if it's too much, I'm just going to move just your humerus bone. So you don't even have to do less. It's more of a hip stretch. Do you feel that difference? Now shake your head. Now imagine we did all your computer work like that. Now let it go. You're going to hold it in. So you're pulling those humerus bones in. do less in the hips, we just have to learn how to find the muscles to pull this back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Like Laura, we didn't necessarily change or bind, we just did this.
Right.
Just a little bit. Right there. Pull this up just a tiny bit. That's much better. And then I'm just going to show you. I like just pull those bones in. You actually had it really good. I don't think it can improve on you much. Relax here. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. You're getting it. You feel the difference, hey? Do you or no? No, that's fine. Yeah. Can you relax here? Like think about this pulling, like relax it and feel like it's melting to the floor. Yeah, that's way better. You get that. And I'll even just give you a tiny more. So what I want you to find is this, and then you can find it in down dog. You can find it working. Swap your crossing if you haven't done so already. Yeah. These days have to come back to it a little bit. You feel that difference? So you gotta remember to pull this bone in. Not overdoing it, right? But just give yourself that space. I'll just beat your humerus bone forever. Let's go 5 more belly breaths. And then when those 5 breaths are complete, you're going to come down into tabletop position. So you're going to roll off to your right side. Right arm becomes a pillow for your head. Left palm comes in front of your chest. Nice inhale and arm strength to push yourself up. All right, so let's talk about that same action here. So if you want to see me come closer, I'm not as good at angel winging as you are. I used to be way better at angel winging than you are, but will you do it with me so people can really see an angel wing? Okay. So index fingers point forward, we're spreading. We find our down dog arms, which we'll go through, and then we just move that humerus bone in and out of the shoulder socket without the arms changing. So many people want to do this, but the arms stay and we move the humerus bone inside the shoulder socket. And so you can see really easily on her body, she's way better at it though. It's really improved, holy smokes. See how she gets that angel wing here? Where it pops up. Gosh, she's gotten a lot stronger, hey? Yeah.
I hope so.
So you see how those shoulder blades are moving? And then push as hard as you can. Push, 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 push. And then see if you can shake your head. It's not bad actually, but it's a little taut. So then she's gonna let her arm bone sink in just a little bit, but she's not gonna get these ridges, which is really hard to do, and it's her nemesis right now. Pull the elbows apart. Yeah. Move the skin of the armpits forward. Nice. And then as she goes into her cat-cow, she wants not to lose those arms, so she keeps the shoulders. So exhale, kitty. Yeah. And then inhale into your cow. And this is where those angel wings want to creep back in the back bend. Yeah, see if you can pull this through without losing it. Nice. And then exhale into kitty. And then inhale. There you go. And you see that didn't change. And so what we see often as people come into those back bends is these huge angel wings popping off their backs and a big valley, and it's not sustainable, right? Same with inversions. We just want to have strength in that upper back. So let's give it a shot. If you're not sure, you can speak up at any time. It's the nice thing about workshop is we have lots of time. So Index fingers are going to point straight forward. We're going to spread our all of our fingers away from the index fingers. We're going to push into the fingers. We're going to push into the palms. Remember, if we feel our wrists at all, we move back so that our wrists are really ahead of our shoulders, and they can be way ahead of our shoulders here. Or we can come to the point where our forearm is at a 90-degree angle. Okay, we don't go past there. And then we're going to think about an internal rotation of the lower arm, really pressing through the base of the thumb and the index so that there's absolutely no lift between the base of the thumb and the index. We're going to think about an external rotation of the upper arm, skin of the armpits moving towards the ears. Think about a stick in the elbow crease pulling back towards the hump of the elbow, so the crease moves back. Stick in the armpits lifts up into the shoulders and slides forward. And then once you find it, you're just going to do a couple shoulder push-ups here. So again, arms don't change. You're just moving that humerus bone in and out of the shoulder socket and feeling those shoulder blades valley and then unvalley. Even just this action is so good for getting rid of neck and upper back pain, shoulder pain. Good. Keep zipping your belly. Try and keep that pelvis neutral. This is way better on you. Good. And you could even, because your wrists are sensitive, be further forward if you felt them. You know what I mean? Because you're not using your brace. Do you feel them at all?
No.
Good. Zero pain in the wrists. And then go to that 10 out of 10 where you're pushing the floor away as hard as you can. Try and keep your ears with your shoulders so we're not turtlenecking. So this one is straight back. So your neck is up. So lift your head. You feel there's a bunch of wrinkles in your throat? So here, yeah, so this is a neutral neck is ears with shoulders.
Okay.
Perfect. So that if I did this, yeah, good. Nice. So again, push away as far as you can. Notice how it's a bit jammy. Let the arm bones sink in as deep as you can. Notice how it doesn't feel quite right. So push the floor away as far as you can, then let the arm bones sink a little bit until you can easily move the neck, until you can broaden the collarbones, and then try and keep that action as we exhale to curl the spine, thinking angry kitty. And then we inhale, shoulders back, sit bones lift, gazing up. So exhale to curl the spine, thinking angry kitty. And then inhaling, shoulders back, sit bones lift, gazing up. And then just going back and forth. So you see this bump here. So you want to bend, no. So bend. So there's a, yeah, exactly. So you feel how hard those muscles are working now. So those muscles are going to keep your shoulders from working too hard. So hyperextension, no hyperextension. Hyperextension, no hyperextension. This is going to be physically harder, but it'll help you get less injuries, if that makes sense. Yeah, and if you can keep that and then rotate, that's exactly it there. So what I think of is a stick here pulling my elbows back. Yeah, nice. So we have the bends in the elbows, yeah. That mini bend in the elbows to keep them safe. Angry kitty, cow pose. So we're exhaling to curl the spine, thinking angry kitty. We're inhaling, shoulders back, sit bones lift, gazing up, and we're just going back and forth.
Can you explain the arm rotation again?
So it's an external rotation of the upper arm. It's an internal rotation of the lower arm. So this rolls that way, this rolls this way. See what that does to my elbows?
Yeah.
So this is too much external rotation, this is too much internal rotation. Right? What's in the middle? Both working evenly. And your elbows will be different than my elbows. And then we think about pulling the elbows apart, we think about the upper arm bones karate chopping in, we think of the skin of the armpits moving forward. And that's a down dog arm. Good. Then stopping with a nice straight spine, find your arms. Let's point our feet to the tops of the feet are down, push into the baby toes and the big toes, zip your belly, lift your ribs, and gently start with circles. So again, if someone had a serious neck or back injury, they would be doing this on their backs. Hands up, flipping the palms, fists, unfists, circles, right? We wouldn't even put them on their knees. sitting on my computer, I'm doing my knitting, I'm doing everything with this turtleneck. My ears are stacked over my chest or my thighs. It's gonna be a lot harder on the neck than if my ears are over the shoulders, right? So where are the muscles to get my head from here when I'm sitting are here. So if I do this, I'm not working those muscles. I have to lift my head up so that my neck is neutral and my ears are with my shoulders. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. Change direction with those circles. The further forward the head gets, there's like studies or whatever, diagrams that show how much heavier the head gets if we don't carry our ears over our shoulders, and then how much heavier the neck, the heavier the head, the part of the neck has to work, the more it's going to get fatigued or open itself up to repetitive strain. And then stopping with the circles, let's take our knees wide, let's bring our toes to touch, we're going to take our seat back towards our feet. So my two favorite neck releases in child's pose is having height underneath the head, medium block. Why do you think that is? Neutral neck, ears with shoulders, I can lengthen my upper back. There's different causes for neck pain, but there's also tendencies, right? So if we don't have blocks too stiff stacking, you kind of get a similar effect, right? So both work really good. And then we think about moving the hip flexors back. We take the elbows as wide as we need to, so that we're not getting angel wings here, and that we've got extension, no tension. We could easily shake our head for no. And then I like to think about the back of the neck as being a hammock. So there's no wrinkles in the back of the neck. I think of the C7, that bony bit, the bottom of the back of the neck that sticks out. I think of a sandbag on that, and then I think about a hammock at the back of the neck. So then letting that cervical spine just round. Sometimes it's nice to do like a mini nod here with the forehead resting on the block. You can bring your chin to your sternum very, very lightly and chin away from the sternum. Just a little bit. Chin to the sternum, chin away from the sternum. So you're moving the skin on the forehead away from the nose to the nose. Skin on the forehead away from the nose to the nose. Just tiny, tiny, tiny little movement. And then find that spot that feels the most relaxed for you, hang out, and just breathe into that space. Particularly breathing into the upper back, neck, and shoulders. Inhale, feel that space expanding right into the armpit, armpit chest, sternum, collarbones, and throat. Big, beautiful breaths.
Lots of energy.
It depends on what you're trying to do. Yeah. Right now we've worked the arms pretty hard, so not lots of energy, but if you were, thinking you were prepping for headstands, lots of energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes. So June 2 fists is the height we're looking for. Do you feel your knees?
Getting tired, so I.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough.
It felt good, but.
Yeah. Either works. What are you feeling?
Just at that.
Yeah, let's give you some support. So I'm going to take these guys. This is more mellow. You take your knees nice and wide. Just slide this in here. I can even give you one more. Yeah. There you go. And we could go one higher too if we wanted to. How does that feel? Is that okay? Yeah, better. Again, let me know if anything feels like too much. You can always soften it, and then you turn and look one way. See what, yeah. Does that feel okay on the neck? Good. So, anytime working with the neck, where do we start? Anybody remember? Feet and wrists. Let's exhale out what we don't need, inhale in what we do. Exhale to let go of what no longer serves us. Inhale to draw in the opposite of whatever it is we're letting go of. And neck people, are your necks feeling a little bit better? Do you notice it at all? It feels better already? Good. How about you, Mike? Does it feel any better?
Yeah, in this position it does.
Yeah. This looks good on you. Yeah, and then see if you can look the other way, just to move it out. It's too much for the neck. You put something under your forehead too. Let's go 10 more breaths here, exhaling out what no longer serves us and inhaling to draw in the opposite of whatever that is. So exhaling out what no longer serves us and then inhaling to draw in the opposite of whatever it is we need to let go of. Then when those 10 breaths are complete and there's no rush whatsoever, you're going to bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Nice inhale to come up, back into tabletop position. Index fingers pointing straight forward, spreading your fingers from there. Knees and feet are hips distance apart. Ears are with the shoulders. We're zipping up our belly. We're pushing into our fingers and palms. And then we're going to hook our toes and we're just going to slide that right foot away from us, taking those toes as far away from us as is humanly possible. So, superficial back line. People with really tight mid-upper backs have incredibly tight toes. Just a thing. So we really want to stretch out those toes. And so often if we just do dog, 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 we never actually stretch out those toes. Now watch those heads, no turtlenecks. Lift up into the back of the skull. Make sure the ears are with the shoulders. Make sure it's very easy to shake your head for no. And then bring that right foot forward, and this time stretch out the Achilles. So toes forward, reach with the Achilles. Think of a mini micro bend in the knee. Those of us that can, hamstring goes towards butt, calf goes towards heel. Extension, no tension. We're pushing into our fingers and our palms. Then we bring that foot forward. This next one, it's an internal rotation of the foot to hook the baby toes, which puts the knees in a bit of a, it's in a position that we don't want to do too much with the knees. So once you hook those toes, slide those toes away from you and just really listen to your knee. So right now, some of us will be able to get the baby toes all the way up to the big toes, but some of us, we're just going to get the baby toes. We want to make sure we stretch those baby toes because they can become jerks. And then watch that we're not sickling in the ankles. Get rid of all the wrinkles in the heels. You know what it feels like to have wrinkles in your heels and neck and get better. And then if and only if, so really listening to my words here, if you're already getting a nice stretch in those toes, just stay where you are. If you want more stretch, you can start to bend the knee towards the floor, but no wrinkles in the heels. And then nice and slow, bring the knee up, lift the foot, bring the foot back to neutral, and then just again, stretch out those toes. No one should feel their wrists, no one should feel their knees, everybody's ears should be with their shoulders. Good. And then let's do the other side. So keep your toes tucked. Left toes are going to slide away from you. Knee points straight down, slide those toes away. Make sure you can shake your head for no. You're pushing into the fingers, you're pushing into the palms, you're zipping your belly. Heels are centered. And then bring your foot forward, lengthen the heel, get that nice Achilles stretch. Lift up the back of the skull from you, Mike, ears with shoulders. Lift your head up, right there. Now tuck your chin so there's no wrinkles in your neck. There you go. Tuck your chin more, yeah. toes and baby toes, get them and just slowly start to straighten that leg out gently. Get rid of all the wrinkles in the heels, slide those toes away, ears with shoulders, zip your belly, hips level, push into the fingers, push into the palms. If you're tired at any point, just rest. And then if you can keep the wrinkles out of the heels and you truly need more stretch and you did so on the other side, you could start to drop your knee. Not letting those wrinkles creep in. And then nice and slow, we're going to lift that knee, we're going to bring the knees forward, and we're going to sit on 1 or 2 or 3 or 6 blocks. We're just going to put it between our ankles, and I'll help you out. We'll see what you're going to do. And you're going to sit like help you with this. So we're going to go like this. We're going to point our feet. We want to have the baby toes as close to the floor as the big toes, and we're going to see if we can sit back and not feel the knees. Is that working?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to get you 6. And we'll see how this goes. And just, we don't want to feel our knees at all. Just sitting back if you can, but if you're feeling your knees, you're going to let me know. We'll sit back and take the weight there.
That's it.
Good. See if you can bring your knees towards one another. Eventually the thighs will touch. And then see if you can lift the skin of the knees. Nice. That just means we can sit a little bit longer. And then for fun, we're obviously stretching out the ankles a bit, but let's strengthen them a little bit too. See if you can lift your ankles. So we're pushing into our toes to lift our ankles, and eventually it's a straight line from the baby toe edge of the foot. You can slide your fingers underneath those ankles. But the tops of the feet are coming down. Good. Shoulders back, heart center lifts. Nice. If you can't get the lift in the ankles at all, add another block. Interlace your fingers, right hand on top of left hand. Again, make sure you can shake your head for no at any point. We're going to bend our elbows, we're going to bring our elbows together, our elbows at our shoulders height, and we can shake our head for no. So again, not for people that are in chronic all the time, you know, it's going to be a lot, but for us, we're good to go. We're going to start to make circles with the wrists. Fingertips pushing into the back of the hands, palms rooting. If we can't keep our elbows together, then we visualize a ball between our elbows. If we can't have our elbows up at a shoulder's height, it'll be more mellow if they're lower. And then find that neutral net. Can I shake my head for no as we change direction with the circles? Kicking down into the V, zipping the belly, flesh of the butt away from low back. So I call this one brain washer. Sam, do you feel here getting triple chins? Yeah, good. Because if everyone, when they sat down at their desk, did this series, we would have a lot less neck and shoulder injuries, particularly frozen shoulder, which is a bit of an epidemic. And then stopping with the wrist circles, try and keep the elbows together as we come into forearm circles. And again, just noticing, when does it get tense in the neck? Can I pull my humerus bones in so that I can shake my head for no? Change direction. Try and keep the pinky wrist and the thumb wrist stacked so you're not rotating the forearms in this one. Watch that neck sound. Bring your forehead forward just a little bit. Yeah. So I think about the back of the skull rooting back, forehead rooting forward. Think about the ears lifting up. And then stopping with the circles again, checking that we have no tension in our neck. We're going to inhale to slide the elbows up, exhale to slide the elbows down. Wrist stacking, feet kicking, ankles lifting if you can. If you have to relax them, you can. And then exhale to bring those elbows down, flip the hands, straighten out those arms, pull the wrists and the elbows apart. Make sure you can shake your head for no. Not a bad place to do a couple shoulder push-ups. And then for today, let's try and keep those arms straight and let's bring those arms up really slowly, just wherever they get to. So again, not bending or twisting to get them higher, but really honoring the shape and letting them release where they are. Then wherever we get to, let's do a couple shoulder push-ups. So again, shape of the arm stays, and we just move the humerus bone in and out of the shoulder socket. And then find extension, no tension. Maybe you can look up gently towards the hands, wherever they are, look up. Get that extension of the back of the neck. And then bring the chin back to neutral and look straight ahead. If you ever feel your knees, you're gonna let me know. We shouldn't feel our knees at all. And then we notice which fingers are not connecting. The goal is to eventually keep the pinky fingers and the ring fingers together. I find pushing my pinky finger into the back of the opposite hand really helps. Tapping the thumbs really help. Then shake my head. Is my neck relaxed? Just go 5 more breaths here. And then when those 5 breaths are complete, we're going to bring those arms down. We're going to flip the hands, palms face up, shoulders relax. So is it the weight on the knees? Because we can swap up the seat too. Do you want just that to feel like that? Good. Then just let those palms face up, let the shoulders relax, close your eyes. So one of the tricks is to think flutter kick and just kick your feet down. Takes it out of the knees. So it's like you're pushing down into your feet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Push it down.
I'm a little too high here, but
Yeah.
it's not too good.
Okay, yeah, let me grab you in between.
Actually, now my knees are okay.
Now, I'll give you this guy just in case we've got kind of an in-between half block. Sometimes you just need to warm up. Then, if you need to open up the backs of the knees, you can come into tabletop position and just stretch them out if you need to. If you're comfortable sitting, just stay sitting. We're going to interlace our fingers, left hand on top of right. We're going to bend the elbows, bring those elbows together. Make sure we can shake our heads for no problem. And let's just do some gentle wrist circles. Remember, we never sit through knee pain and we never want wrist pain. Change direction with the wrist circles. And you could do any ankle stretch. Sometimes we do the bolster stretch, right, which is a little bit deeper in the ankle. It just depends on what you're trying to do. Then stopping with the wrist circles again, try and keep those elbows glued. Make sure you can shake your head for no. Let's do some forearm circles. Trying to keep those elbows as high as the shoulders if you can. And if you can't keep them together, think about them holding on to a ball or a block. Humerus bones moving as little as possible as we change direction. And find the connection of the fingers here, particularly if the pinky finger gets lost. So really push the pinky finger into the back of the opposite hand. And then stopping with those circles, inhale, elbows straight up, elbows straight down, inhale, straight up, exhale, straight down. Trying to keep the wrists and the elbows stacked, trying to keep a nice neutral neck, zero tension in the neck if you can. Then exhale to bring the elbows down, straighten out those arms, try to commit to those pinky fingers, catching on the back of the left hand if you can, thumbs touch. Straighten out those arms again, make sure you can shake your head for no, do a couple shoulder push-ups if you need to, and then a nice smooth inhale to bring it up. Wrists pulling apart, elbows pulling apart, thumbs tapping if possible. Try and get the thumb wrist as high as the pinky wrist, and then do a couple shoulder push-ups here. And just see what that feels like. And then find a nice comfortable place. You can shake your head, and then just close your eyes and breathe. Big, beautiful breaths. Let's find you a different seat. you can come sit down like this, and then you cross your shins, and I'm gonna give you something right in there, okay? Be mindful because it can be a little wobbly. So it's usually better to start on the floor and lift up. Let's see how it feels. Let's go 5 more breaths here. This comes in here. And then when those 5 breaths are complete, we're just going to bring those arms down nice and slow. We're going to flip the hands, palms facing up, shoulders back, close your eyes. And just breathing here. Nice, smooth, even breaths. And then when you're ready, coming forward into tabletop position, index fingers pointing forward, open up the backs of the legs. And if you want to open up the legs, you can stay seated because we're all going to join you in the seat. So just opening up the backs of the knees, stretching out those toes. And then once you feel like you've opened up those toes enough, you've opened up the backs of the knees, we can come into a comfortable seated position. So the options are to either roll over our toes like that, right? Or we can bring our feet out to one side, our hands out to the other side, coming down onto our outer hip and sweeping the legs forward. So the trick is to make sure that the knees are not higher than your hip flexors. So to get up onto a bolster, you just kind of keep your knees bent, you sit up, you cross your legs. If your knees are higher than your hip bones, then you need a second bolster, right? And if you're using a second bolster, then we're also going to grab you one of these guys. You can also sit on a block. Block or bolster works. You can also sit on 2 blocks. Yeah, just especially if you're working it today, you might find out your second side. Yeah. So Mike, let's uncross your legs and add 1 more bolster. I'll grab you one. Oh no, never mind, you got 2.
Yeah.
Sorry. Actually, I'm gonna grab you a mini. So we're gonna eventually come back to straight legs and just look at our feet. This goes here. And then you're going to walk your feet as wide as you can. Yeah, and then push your feet down and you see how the knees will drop. There you go. Don't force it. Do you feel it in your knees at all? This foot comes forward. Yeah. All right, so just turn up our ankles and get them ready. We're going to uncross our legs. So we lift our knees, we straighten out the legs. Find a little bit of a mini bend. Make sure the knees are going the same direction as the feet. And just point and flex. Shoulder heads back. Armpits coming forward. And then keep the knees pointing straight up towards the sky. Big slow circles. Change direction with the circles. And then stopping with your circles, flex your feet, soles of the feet flat, curl your toes like you're holding onto a pencil, point your foot like a dancer, flip your toes, and then flex your feet. So the feet are really active, there's no wrinkles in your heels. Try and keep the action of the feet as if they were standing on the floor, but the toes were slightly lifted. Cross the right shin in front of the left shin, walk your feet nice and wide, and let the knees come down. So So if we can keep the wrinkles out of the heels, we can keep the feet nice and active, karate chopping the feet down. We're gonna be able to sit for longer and our knees are gonna be happier. So keep the nice action of the feet. Hands push into the thighs. Nice inhale to lift the chest, shoulders back.
Michelle, put your hand up.
Whatever you want. Interlace your fingers, right hand on top of left hand. Bring the hands to the back of the skull like you're doing a headstand. Root the head back into the hands, reach with the elbows, and think about the forehead rooting forward. I can do it. Simple. So again, really important to keep the ears over the shoulders. Find those elbows. Reach the elbows in all directions. Good. Gently root into the back of the skull, gently push the forehead forward. Think about someone lifting your ears up, and think about sliding the back of the skull up, like you're lifting the head away from the shoulders. Good. Let's start by exhaling to bring the elbows to one another, inhaling the elbows apart. Exhale to bring the elbows to one another, and inhale the elbows apart. You can rest anytime you want to rest. And then bring those elbows apart. See if you can make circles with those elbows. So if you can, we're going to bring these hands up just a little bit. And just a little bit. And you're going to bring your head back. There you go. Nice. Try not to lean forward if you can. Change direction with your circles. And if it feels like too much, take a rest. Do you still have a neutral neck? Are you looking down? Are you looking up? Or are you looking straight toward the horizon? And then stopping with the circles, elbows wide, lift your hands up, flip your hands so that the palms are facing up towards the ceiling. Try and connect with your pinky fingers. Pull the elbows apart. Try and get the palms flat if you can. And then nice and slow, lift the wrists as you pull them apart, keeping your hands over the crown of the head, even if it means you don't straighten. Just nice and slow, just different. Pulling the elbows apart as we lift and lengthen the hands up. Ears with the shoulders. Floating ribs to one another and back. Zip your belly, flesh of the butt down, root your legs. Remember, we don't sit through anything in the knees, and we keep those feet nice and active. See if you can get your thumb wrist as high as your pinky wrist. And then do just a couple shoulder push-ups here. And then find that place of extension, no tension. Close your eyes, breathe again. Can you shake your head for no? Is the front of your throat relaxed? And then releasing your fingers, but keeping that shape. We're going to bring the hands down halfway. We're going to glance. We're going to see if we can get our thumb wrist and our pinky wrist level. If at any point it's too much, you can bend your elbows or bring your hands down beside you or palms up, whatever works. But imagine you're pushing your hands, the circumference of the palms, into a wall, and you're pulling your fingers away from the wall. Bend your elbows a tiny bit so that I can't see it, but you can feel it. And then go to that spot between your shoulder blades and think about pulling the humerus bones together, almost like you're trying to take those shoulder blades or angel wings and squeeze something like an orange. Just a wee little bit. So here's your shoulders. Let's get the wrists down. Yeah. And then see if you can get pinky wrist and thumb wrist level. So again, Rome wasn't built in a day. Be gentle. Shoulder heads back, armpits forward. Bring your right ear down towards your right shoulder without twisting. So we're very good at twisting, June. Yes, so we're not shoulder checking. What we're not so good at is just taking the right ear straight down without twisting. So just the right ear comes down, but we don't turn our gaze to the right. Does that make sense? Come behind. armpits forward. Yeah, feel that difference? Good. Straight and then down. Now slowly rotate. So you just hold this because this is really tight. Does that make sense? So you bring your chin down, but you miss this collarbone stretch. Pull those collarbones apart. Those of us that can go to our sternum and slide the sternum up and move the ribs that are attached to the sternum away from the sternum and lengthen and broaden those collarbones, go for it. Shoulder heads back, armpits forward, fingers away from the wall, palms into the wall. Do less if you need to. And chin comes back up to center, nice and slow. So again, you can shoulder check till the day is long, right? Don't shoulder check. Just bring the left ear straight down without twisting. Straight down. You can bring your arms down anytime you want to. Push into the palms, pull the fingers away from the wall, mini micro bend, shoulder heads back, skin of the armpits moves forward. Broaden the collarbones. Take the collarbones away from your throat. And then rotate. Forward. If it's very easy to straighten the arms, then you can bring the palms of the hands together. Shoulder heads back, armpits forward. If you can't straighten out the arms or it's difficult, just take the palms apart. So straight elbows is your priority. Extension, no tension, reach the arms towards the floor, pull the elbows apart, draw the upper arm bones in. One more time, lift your sternum up, and then without letting the shoulder heads come forward or the sternum drop, drop your chin down towards your sternum. And just keep lifting the sternum. Shoulder heads back, armpits forward, big, beautiful breaths. No wrinkles in the heels if you can help it. That's how you're going to release your hip. Make sense? That, no lift the legs down. Keep the feet, lift the back thigh, lift in, find other stuff. Good. And then chin comes up nice and slow. Release your hands, let your palms come forward, palms facing up. Close your eyes and just breathe into it. And then when you're ready, we're going to lift the knees, we're going to uncross the legs, we're going to take the legs nice and wide, and we're going to scooch forward just a little bit on our bolsters. If our stick is still handy, we're going to make sure that the center of the foot is in line with the center of the knee, which is in line with the hip. Okay, so we're not doing this, we're not doing this. But the ankle, the knee, and the hip are in a straight line. I'm tracking my foot so that my foot is going the same direction as my knee. So my foot's not twisted out or in. My knee is directly in line with my leg. It's not out or in. That's important. Then push into your feet, lift your toes. If you can keep that alignment and bring your feet in, then by all means do. But if it causes your knees to go wide, it's a different stretch than we're going for right now. Grab onto your knees or your shins. Nice big inhale to lift and lengthen. Shoulder heads back. Make sure you can shake your head for no. And then pushing into your feet as you slowly start to bring your torso through those thighs without the thighs going wide. Maybe the fingers can come forward. Maybe you can walk the fingers forward. Don't let those knees move. Maybe you can start to let the head get heavy, let the shoulders relax, and then just breathing into your back. And finding that spot where you're feeling it and breathing into that space. It's a different stretch. So we're going to take the feet out. Yeah, quite a bit. There we go, and then toes point out, heels point in. There you go, nice. So 90-degree angle. It's just a different stretch. This is prep for this, right? So this is a superficial back line stretch, whereas that, what you're doing is prep for squat, which is more of a hip stretch, low back stretch. Different. Not that the other one's not great, it's just completely different. You feel the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is more like a wide-legged forward fold. You're doing more like a squat in the other one. Both are great, but you need to be able to teach both to people that can't do both, you know? knee, ankle. Does that make sense? You feel the difference? It's a different part of your hip that we tend to avoid, different part of your back. Let's just go 3 more breaths here. If we can avoid where we're tight or where we're blocked, we are going to avoid it, right? So we gotta find ways of doing things so we don't avoid it. And then nice and slow, let's come up. Let's draw those knees back to center. Straighten out those legs a little bit, but keep those knees bent. And again, just a little bit of pointing and flexing. Shoulders back, armpits forward. Maybe some circles. Maybe circles the other way. And then flex, curl, point, and flip, flex, curl, point, and flip, flex, curl, point, and flip. Flex, keep your toes nice and active, spread them. Don't let the wrinkles come into these heels, right? That really keeps our knees safe in addition to starting to open up the hips. Bring your legs in, cross the left leg over the right leg. Generally, we have to move back a little bit on our butts. And then we walk the feet quite wide to bring the knees in. And we try and keep the action of the feet as we let those legs come down. Hands on the thighs. Nice inhale to lift the chest. Shoulders back. Sit up nice and tall. Good. We're going to interlace our fingers. Left hand on top of right. We're going to bring our hands to the back of the skull. We're going to bring our elbows up. Again, make sure you can shake your head for no. So especially if you're a turtlenecker, see if you can really get the ears over the shoulders. Move the skin of the armpits forward. Go to your sternum, slide your sternum up, and if you can, get the sternum ribs to pull apart, collarbones to pull apart, keeping that space open. So this as opposed to, right, where we tend to go. Head gets super heavy, neck gets super pissed off. All right, let's clap those elbows. Exhale, elbows to one another. Inhale, elbows apart. Again, this is just gently starting to move the humerus bone. Keeping that neutral neck. So if the chin starts to drop, you start to feel extra chins here. If the chin starts to lift, you start to feel wrinkles creeping into the back of the neck. Head roots into hands. Hands are just sliding the back of the skin of the head up a little bit. Elbows come apart. Let's start with forward circles. Much better neck and nice. Gentle. Use your peripheral vision. See if you can follow the elbows. See if they're somewhat symmetrical, if they're working somewhat equally. Watch that neck, chin. Feel how you're coming forward and you're shortening in front. Lift your sternum. Yeah, there we go. Change directions, backward circles. Try and keep your ears right over your shoulders if you can. Try and get that pinky finger connection. Watch when that chin drops and just lift it up a little bit. And then stopping with the circles, take your hands, flip your hands, hands on the top of the skull, get your wrist level if you can. Engage that pinky finger, don't let it get slack. Pull the elbows apart, broaden the collarbones, and see if you can shake your head for no. So on this variation, we're going to not worry about straightening the arms. We're just going to think about keeping the hands on the head as we slowly bring those arms up. And we can rest whenever we like. Some of us do this stuff 3 to 5 times a week. Some of us do it never before in their life. So be mindful. Only worry about your body. Now, is there space between my ears and my shoulders? Can I create that space? Maybe do a couple shoulder push-ups to see if there's space to be had. So we're not changing the elbows. We're literally moving that humerus bone inside the shoulder socket. And then we find that place of tension. Move away from the tension if you find it. And then bring your gaze up just briefly. And then let your gaze come down. Close your eyes. Big, big breaths. Skin of armpits moving forward. Upper arm externally rotating. So we're moving the skin of the arm that's closest to our ears back and the outer arm forward. Just find that spot where you're holding. Think about breathing into that space. Head back. Can you open? Yeah, there you go. Let's go 5 more breaths. And then when those 5 breaths are complete, you're going to release your fingers. You're going to bring your arms down halfway. You're going to put your thumbs on the inside. You're going to make fists, and then you're going to bring your arms down halfway again, so they're halfway to a T. We're then going to bend the wrist. So we're going to pull the fingers to us. We're going to take the wrists away. So halfway to a T. And then look, are my arms forward? Are my arms back? Or are my arms in line with my torso? And then mini bend the elbows. Head back, shoulders back, armpits forward. Lift the sternum. Zip your belly. Are you on the center of your sit bones? Do you have a neutral pelvis? Right ear comes down towards right shoulder without rotating. We don't want to do what we're good at, right? Because then that's repetitive strain. We want to do what we're not good at, which is do it a different way than the way we always do it. Make shoulder heads back. Yeah, nice. And let's lower those arms a little bit. So halfway to a T as your wrists are in line with the waist. Hip bones. So this is a T. That's not halfway to a T. Does that make sense? Piece of a pie. And then nice and slow, let's rotate the chin now. So we brought it straight down and then we rotate. Shoulder heads back, armpits forward. Breathing. Gentle stretching. We only have one neck. You never want to overdo it. And then nice and slow, bring that chin back up to center. Opposite ear comes straight down without twisting. We're not shoulder tucking, we're shucking it up, we're stretching the neck. Again, gently rooting the back of the skull back, gently rooting the forehead forward. This is some gentle nerve sliding. Maybe not so gentle, do less. And then rotate the chin. Breathe into it. And chin comes back up to center. Release your arms. Let the palms face up. Let the shoulders relax. Close your eyes. And just breathe. Big, beautiful breaths. And then we're going to interlace the fingers behind our backs. Left hand on top of right. Shoulder heads back, armpits forward. Lift the sternum, but don't pop your ribs, so no back bending. If you can straighten out the arms with the palms apart, then you can think about bringing the palms together. And then think elbows pull apart, upper arm bones karate chop in. Reach the arms to the floor without tension and see if you can bring the back of the skull back to start with. And then nice and slow, just drop the chin. So again, if someone was in serious neck pain and couldn't move their pain, you wouldn't go near their neck until their neck was not in pain, like chronic all the time. Let's go 3 more breaths here. And when those 3 breaths are complete, bring your chin back up to neutral, release your arms. See if you can get your ears over your shoulders, palms up, close your eyes, and big, beautiful breaths. And then when you're ready, hands to the outer thighs. Grab onto those knees to keep those knees hinges to bring the knees up, uncross. Open up the backs of the knees. Let's come onto the floor. Move your bolster. Take your hands behind you as much as you need to so that you can find a nice straight spine, shoulders back, ears over shoulders without tension. Some of us can have our hands right beside us and we get the lift in the chest, but some of us have to be behind, okay? Find the center of the sit bones. So most of us are sitting on the backs of the sit bones. So see if you can go back to the sit bones, center of the sit bones, front of the sit bones, front of the sit bones, center of the sit bones, back of the sit bones, and just move back and forth on the sit bones. Does anybody not find that? So now when you sit at your desk, when you sit in your car, when you sit down for dinner, try and find the center of your sit bones. Let's find the center of the sit bones. Shoulder heads back, armpits forward. Get the ears over the shoulders if you can. Good, and one last time. We're just gonna do some pointing and flexing. I'm gonna do some circles. If we wanted more of a wrist stretch, we could point our fingers out. If we still wanted more of a wrist stretch, we could point our fingers forward. So again, working with those wrists. Tight wrists hurt the neck. Change direction or directly, the tight wrists are directly related to neck pain. That's a better way of putting that. Then stopping with your circles, flex, curl, point, and flip. Flex, curl, point, and flip. Flex, curl, point, and flip. And then flex your feet and then see if you can pull the big toe mounds away from one another and the baby toe mounds to one another like your book footing. Just like this. So big toe mounds are drawing away, baby toe mounds are drawing too. We're keeping our foot flexed and then we're going to point and flex with that.
Are you trying to keep the knees straight up?
Yeah, ideally, but they will rotate out a little bit. So if you can, get those shoulders, right? So if you're doing this, it's less effective than if you're doing this or even this, right? Ears over shoulders, ears over shoulders. So if you have to do it lying down to get ears over shoulders, do it lying down. And then flex, and then go back to neutral, so big toe mounds level, and then try to go the opposite way. So again, try not to move the knees too much if you can. Take the big toe mounds away from one another, take the baby toe mounds to one another. Try and keep that neutral neck. Back connection, it's a great way to keep your arches. All this stuff is, I'm sure we're feeling our arches. And release. Nice. We're going to come down onto our back. So coming forward, have a block handy. Knees and feet are going to be together. Make a nice C and come down nice and slow. Stacking the spine. And taking the feet that hips distance apart. Remember what it was like to have the blocks between the thighs and the feet at the wall. Try and find those feet. And then you're going to take your block underneath your pelvis at either low, medium, or highest height, but the shoulders remain down. And then think shoulder heads to the floor, armpits to the sky, arms in nice and close, feet are straight like they're on a pair of skis, and then see if you can just gently lift the toes up. Really moving the flesh of the butt away from the low back, injecting your hamstrings if you can, and moving the calves forward and down towards the heels. Flesh of butt away from low back. So if you can, let's see if we can slide, because your weight and then rest on that. Yeah. Yes, we're just letting the block take the weight. Yeah, and the block is below our hip bones. I like to have my toes lifted because then I know my shins are active, but I want to make sure that my big toes aren't working harder than my baby toes. So this is a shoulder's distance. So bring your feet around the block. So the block is pretty much shoulders distance for you, so take your feet to the block.
Oh, you've got to talk there.
Yeah. Believe it or not, that's shoulders distance.
Okay. Narrow.
Yeah. You go shoulders or wider, right? But we need to find with you this. Keep your knees safe. Start to work on stabilizing the hips. For you, that's about a block. So you're close, but come in just a little bit. And if you can, you should put your feet on this block. Nice. And then use your thighs more. So if there's a block between your thighs, your inner thighs would be dropping the block, the outer thighs would be squeezing the block, inner heels dropping the block, outer heels squeezing the block. So your feet, do you think they're hips distance or shoulders distance? They're shoulders, which is fine. You can teach this in shoulders, you just won't work as hard. So it's an option if you want it to be, but if you want it to be hips distance, they should be closer. What's that?
No, are they hips distance?
Closer.
Close.
They're bigger than my hips. Somebody else's hips, but not yours.
Okay, thank you.
And then see if you can find the floating rib cage in the front coming to one another, and then lengthening that back rib cage. Yeah, feel that lift in the chest. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a good motion. So, I've heard people call it the hoodie. So you're pulling this up over the back of the skull. Does that make sense? Now find your arm bones and get rid of your bellies a little bit. So push down and pull the elbows apart. But again, it's like sometimes you find one and you know.
Yeah, and it's hard to find them in, like, very
Less active.
Yeah.
So if this tugged into our knees at all, can anyone tell me what you do? Want to put it? Walk your feet away from your butt. And I'm going to walk your feet away from your butt anyway, so that your shins are at a 90. All right, so you're really getting the outer thighs. And keep your knees over your ankles at the same time, inner thighs drop the block. So you're going to pull your inner thighs to the knee. Right, so outer thighs squeeze in, inner thighs pull apart. Outer thighs squeeze in, inner, does that make sense? Now your knees are standing right over your ankles, which we need as you move into your wheels and your Urdhva. Makes sense? So the yogis say that there's a lot of pressure points in the neck and the shoulders, and that this it's like doing acupressure on yourself, this particular pose. Obviously, it's a great chest opener. So this is great in combination with core for neck and shoulder issues, but we started with just the basics. So for people that hunch a lot in their job, core, bridge, core, bridge, core, bridge. Obviously, we can't do everything today, but it's nice to get a little info. Feet forward. Yeah, that's let's put it forward, but that's better. Nice, you got that lift here now, you feel it? So it's ribs, lengthen, shoulder heads, and now your guy comes and he lifts up, right? He's a bug and he's going this way, and his legs are stretching that way. You feel it? Yeah, bug in your sternum. Just go 5 more breaths here. So listening to me carefully. Can you lift your heels without getting a shortening in your inner heel, without getting too many wrinkles in your heels, okay? So you can keep your feet on the floor. Inhale your pelvis up, bring it down. Inhale your pelvis up, bring it down. Third time, inhale your pelvis up. Maybe you can lift your heels without your knees going wide, without your ankles going wide, without getting wrinkles. See if you can remove the block, then bring the heels down evenly so that the inner heels hit at the same time as the outer heels, and then maybe you can come down slower. Do you feel the difference in the legs when you activate your ankles? you use them, right? It's more leg muscles if you connect with those heels, and what do the leg muscles do? They keep your backs nice and safe. So if that felt like the best ever back bend, it was no biggie for you, you can go right into Shavasana. If that was a big back bend for you, you might want to hug those legs either straight or rocking just to lengthen out that low back. It just depends on how much back bending you do. And then when you're done, you bring your feet down one at a time. You'd find a neutral pelvis. Bring your arms out beside you, palms facing up, halfway to a T. You'd lengthen the back ribs, you'd relax the neck and the shoulders, and then you'd straighten one leg at a time, finding Tadasana pose first, really active legs, and then you could just release. You could do Tadasana with your feet at hips distance apart if you had more sensitive hips and knees. If you don't have sensitive knees and hips, you could do Tadasana with your feet together, and then let it relax. If you've got back or knee stuff, it's better to do Shavasana with some height underneath the backs of the knees. So you can either put a bolster there, or you can put a couple blocks there. And then just close your eyes, be as still as you can be. It's amazing how quick 2.5 hours goes, hey? The first 5 minutes you're like, how am I gonna do it? and then you're like, Shavasana!